The St. Pancras piano is now back after being cordoned off earlier, and the group of CCP lovers released their rebuttal video. Welcome to part 2 of the piano warfare in the UK over Brendan Kavanagh's livestream. Welcome to China Insider, I'm David Zhang. First of all, I want to thank Brendan Kavanagh, aka Mr. K, for taking my advice. Now, I promise you will never have to deal with doctored videos that appear on Chinese platforms, wrongfully spreading your video message or content, as long as you wear one of the shirts with those symbols like Winnie the Pooh or 8964 or something that's very offensive to the regime. Now, today's video is an update/explainer on what the situation that took place on January 19th over a public piano is really about. Now, first of all, there's a clear distinction between those that speak for the CCP and regular Chinese people, as we evidently see by this incident that the government of China and the Communist Party of China cannot represent its people. But it's also a fact that many people brainwashed by the CCP are acting out this way overseas. And this group of propagandists suffer from little pink derangement syndrome, which is their brains are filled with too much propaganda from the CCP. And they don't represent the Chinese people everywhere. Now, if you haven't already, I strongly suggest that you go back and watch my previous video on this actual incident, as it explains what happens in detail. Now, since the incident, the girl who first approached Brendan has released a video on Chinese social media detailing her side of the story. Basically, she says that Brendan is a racist for playing a piano song called Qing Cheng Hanji, which is from a Chinese opera piece about anti-corruption. Now, Meng Ying Liu, the girl, argues that that's racist, and that's supposed to define Brendan's entire reaction as somehow as a racial reaction towards the Chinese people. Well, is it? Depending on how sensitive you are, it's a trend nowadays to take random ethnic songs, to add a beat to it and call it internet rap. But if you're offended over a video of Tom and Jerry spinning with a disc as a video to say that this is racist, and let me just say this as a Chinese person, right? You're getting caught up in the wrong fight. There are bigger things to worry about here. Is there racism against Chinese people? Of course there are. There's racism against every race. That's why it's called racism. But they're not racist to you because you're Chinese. They're racist to Chinese people because of you. It's your behavior like this that truly caused troubles for everybody else. Now, if you're truly trying to make the Chinese community, the Chinese people proud, stop being the barking dogs of the CCP and actually show off the beauty of the Chinese culture. Make people in the UK or anywhere else say that, wow, look at the Chinese community. They have such beautiful culture. And to not say that, wow, look at these Chinese people, they act aggressively everywhere they go. In fact, that Chinese opera piece, according to the Chinese Communist Party's first standard for all things, is actually political correctness. The theme of the opera is anti-corruption because it's about a Chinese judge. The central focus of the CCP today can be used as a historical textbook even for their CCP teaching, so-called self-revolution. In fact, that this group is offending the CCP themselves to call this racist. And she also claims that the reason they asked Brendan to delete the video is because their own film were so important or so special for the CCP's Chinese New Year celebration that they must maintain the exclusive image right, the only copy of their faces on there. Well, there clearly was a communications issue here, but the way they're asking is so entitled. So what you're filming for a Chinese propaganda piece? Well, it turns out, apparently it's just them singing a song from the CCP and then doing New Year's greetings. You're in a country where information is freely available, you're in a public space. First come, first serve on a public piano. Brendan has every right to say no. Now, these people are accustomed to the CCP, their methods in China, to think that by scaring, reprimanding, or blackmailing people, that can solve all the problems there are. However, it may be counterproductive, just maybe abroad. You don't get to threaten people and get away with it. Here in the West. Not everyone, though, in China agrees with them. The videos, they're getting a lot of comments online. Internet users in China are criticizing their behaviors as well, saying that they should respect the law of the land and the customs of that country. So it goes to show you that this group is very representative of the CCP behavior, but is not representative of the Chinese people and their behavior. Now, it goes on to talk about the flag touching part, which apparently is the most sensitive issue of it all. Let's first make sense of what this actually is about, right? You might have seen the live stream already that Mr. K started. About 9 minutes into it, this woman here who made the second video comes to him and asks him to stop filming due to so-called non-disclosure or some type of agreement with their own filming schedule. Now, it quickly escalated when one of the CCP lovers, this guy named Newton Leung, started to shout at Mr. K when he accidentally touched the Chinese flag. Now, this guy, Newton, he shouts, "Don't touch her," repeatedly, and then turning it into first a sexual harassment case, and then turning it into racism. In fact, I think they should actually make a song out of that, right? Just don't touch her, don't touch her.
Stop touching her! Don't touch her! Please, do not touch her! Please, stop touching her! Don't touch her! Please, do not touch her! Please, stop touching
Look, I get it. Every country, right? Its people has the right to protect the flag, even communist China. But just think about it like this. What does that flag represent? Well, it represents a history of the murder of 100 millions of people since 1949. It represents the persecution of multiple religions and ethnic groups, Falun Gong, the Uyghurs, Tibetans, Christians, and Buddhists in China. It represents an aggressive ambition to take and invade Taiwan and stirring geopolitical troubles across the board in the Middle East, Ukraine, Russia, and the rest of the world. It's the same as supporting the Nazi flag. It's okay to be patriotic and nationalistic, but is that patriotism truly for the right purpose? Think about it. Unfortunately for these Chinese people, they have been raised and brainwashed to believe that protecting the country's flag is just that. But actually, it's protecting the image of the Chinese Communist Party. And here's the irony, right? Is it truly nationalism or is it truly patriotism when you cannot even criticize your own country? Some of the most patriotic people I know can freely criticize the situation in America, in Canada, or Europe because they love their country and they want it to get better. Can that group of Chinese people do the same in China? Will they be allowed to freely attend protests, call out the CCP in public, participate in a voting process that will let them choose who they want to have in power? The answer is no, because they will face one of the two outcomes. First, either they end up in jail over some so-called charge called subverting the state power, or they get disappeared and never to be heard of again, secretly punished.
If there is one supplement you want to get incorporated into your diet, it's a good omega-3 supplement. It's the best all-around defender for your health. It reduces inflammation, cholesterol, improves eyesight, and reduces risk for heart problems, as well as helps with joint pain, among other benefits. Today, I want to introduce you to Puron's green vegetables. Puron gets their ingredients straight from the high mountains of South Korea, and the omega oils are extracted from purslane and perilla seeds. It's 100% vegan. Now, personally, I've been using Omega for about 9 years, close to 10 years now. I've recently switched to Puron for about a few weeks now. Here's why. We mostly get our Omegas from fish, right? But that's not the best case for everyone, especially there's the aftertaste. It might not be suitable for vegetarians or vegan. So the most important part, right, we often forget is the actual concentration for Omegas. Puron soft gels have a much higher content for Omega-3, 6, 7, and 9 than many of the brands out there. And some say that they notice there's less hair loss, more energy, lower cholesterol levels, and overall improved health. I think the best part for me is the lack of inflammation or the reduction of inflammation. Other brands also they use this high heat method to extract the oil, which in turn creates a lot of harmful byproducts. Puron's green vegetable is done using a patented method of supercritical carbon dioxide low temperature extraction, so it preserves the natural properties and maintains high purities. First of its kind. So get it for yourself or as a gift to your loved ones ahead of the holiday season. Use my code DZ2023 and you can receive free shipping globally. Check out my link in the description and comment today.
For them to exercise rights granted by the British Constitution and universal human rights in a free country, yet still speak on behalf of a regime that they would never dare to say anything about, is the biggest irony in existence. They claim to be pro-China, yet they held British citizenship, has a British boyfriend, and work in Britain. In what world is that actually patriotic to China? In my view, this is the true portrayal of the Chinese Communist Party's dictatorship. The statements often made by CCP officials in the international community is that China does not seek to change the international order. That's obviously false, because the way we see things here is that what they're doing around the world in different countries, they're not only covering up their true intention of dictatorship, but they're trying to export and to exert this type of operation that they do in China and try to do it around the world, right? As we've seen in Britain, as we've seen in countries like Japan, America, and everywhere else. if their barking dogs act like this, hypocritical and thuggish at the same time, just imagine what the entire party feels like and actually looks like. It turns out Mingyi Liu, the lady who made the video, she has her own career coaching site. She was just trying to get a wave of nationalistic viewership going around this incident. She's lying about the interaction, which has now been seen by millions of people online. Her attempt to gain some domestic fame is futile, just like that one in Japan who attempted to act out over a restaurant, trying to use CCP nationalism in Japan. Turns out, people online are commenting the opposite. They're criticizing her behavior. The UK has a problem, though, one that I think many other countries also have, which is the CCP problem. This is because of the decades of infiltration to change the perception and narrative around China. In my last video, based on the information that was available at the time I was filming, it was assuming that some of these people in the group worked closely with the branches of the Chinese intelligence. More information since then have surfaced to show that this is actually the case. While they may not be the traditional handler-agent situation, Chinese intelligence work in, they sort of work back against back, meaning that they do independent work between the different government branches and they don't really cross-share missions. So it's still possible that many of them have alternative roles and tasks that aren't known to the other people. So let me introduce you to the concept of how the CCP intelligence apparatus really works. There are 4 known spy agencies. The first is the Ministry of State Security. The United Front Work Department is the second. The third is called the International Liaison Office, and the fourth is the Joint Staff Department of the Central Military Commission. Now, each of them correspond to a part of the Chinese Communist Party and its government. Now, the Ministry of State Security and Public Security are a part of the government, and the MSS is specifically for targeting the international side of things. They often use things like honey traps, like Christine Feng or Feng Feng, with American Congressman Eric Swalwell. And I think Adelina, or her Chinese name Ning Zhang, she does hosting for multiple events, and she could be one of the agents, as now information reveals that she has often been photographed with UK politicians, former prime ministers, etc. Adelina, according to Internet Sleuth, also found that she was working for the China Daily in 2014 as a reporter. And they often use roles like hosts, reporters, socialites to engage with the local politicians through beauty traps to get information. And the second is the United Front Work Department. And this is a broader system. It involves the Political Consultative Conference, or what their main focus is really based on the targets that are overseas Chinese. And through these Chinese associations, local groups, they're able to influence the public opinion and to influence societal opinion about China to change the narrative around China. And you often see this, there are different names. There's something called like China / that country friendship council, or something similar, or Overseas Chinese Association, these type of names. Now, of course, they're often headed by a local person, usually the nationality, maybe they were even born in that country, grew up there, somebody who is very integrated into that society. And they co-opt local organizations to speak on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, to pretend and to represent the voice of the local Chinese community. Now, the United Front Department has also been viewed as a magical weapon of the CCP, as it is a large contributing factor to them infiltrating the KMT during the Civil War. And this includes the Confucius Institutes as well, right? As Newton Leng has always had ties with them. Their main goal is to shape the narratives around China and to be more friendly toward China. Now, they also participate in essentially in sync or synchronization to what is done by the local consulate's mission or the local embassies. And for example, right, there were cases of Chinese Americans charged by the US Department of Justice over counter-protests and transnational repression against religious and human rights groups. And the police station situation in New York City. These examples, they're all tied to that United Front Department. Now, the other two, the International Liaison Department and the Joint Staff of the Military, they're lesser known because there's lesser information about them, but they also correspond to the party-to-party engagement and the military intelligence. Most of the cases that you hear for Chinese spies overseas, we're actually talking about the first two, which is the United Front as well as the Ministry of State Security. So it's very likely that out of the group of 8 people, there are at least some of the agents unknown to the others, and they're tasked to do different things at different levels of society. But they're just coming together for this event. So I'll leave you to come up with the next hottest song of the year featuring Newton Leng with the Don't Touch Her snippet. So hope to hear that. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the content. This should clear up a lot of things behind the situation with Brendan Kavanagh and the piano. And if you enjoyed the content, leave a like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, bye-bye.